804hoodiezay, what's good, man? What's good?
What's going on? It's 804hoodiezay. We represent VA, the 2 up, 2 down. It's 804. We in the building, man. If you don't know the kid, like I said, my name's 804hoodiezay. I live around out in the county. I be rapping. I be rapping just a little bit. I've been doing music for about a year, seriously. I got a couple things on all platforms, so if you know the name 804hoodiezay, go search it up, go find something, let me know how you feeling about it.
All right, so man, tell us what inspired you to get into the music industry?
I've really been doing music all my life. Like, I grew up in church, I played the drums, I was in marching band in school, was in band in school, and I always had a talent for writing. It was just me working on the other elements that would lead me to where I am now. So I really just been working on those types of things. Like, I started out writing poetry, and that kind of led me to the route I'm on now of having that cadence and flow, going to beats, things like that. So I really feel like it's always been in my blood.
When did you start taking it serious?
Probably about a year or so ago, I dropped my first song, which was myself featuring Non-Melly. That's everywhere if y'all want to go check it out. I talked to Mel. He said, slide through the studio, because I told him I was recording stuff at the crib. And he listened to some of the things. He was like, it sounds good, you just gotta work on your engineering. So he introduced me to an engineer. My man's Jackson Luck. Shout out to Luck Entertainment. And, we went to the studio the first time. We made myself. I literally showed him a beat. He gave me a whole verse, didn't even say nothing to me. He was like, this your song. Whenever you plan on doing anything with this song, this for you. So I wrote a verse. I felt like I did the justice I need to do, and from there I knew I could do better. So I just want to continue to progress and put out better content and let people know that I'm like working on my craft.
That's major, man. So explain to me what working on your craft is like.
It's a little bit adverse, because there are times where like you do get writer's block. You don't feel like you got the energy that you need to bring to whatever song you're trying to write. But it's all about patience. Whenever you get that inspiration, write it down, regardless of wherever you at. Anywhere I be, if I feel like I got that inspiration or like a bar come in my head, something I know I can use, I'll write it down or do a voice memo, something like that, so that way I can later use it in maybe another song, or I might be able to pass the bar off to somebody else. There's a lot of options for me to be able to use the work, so I kind of just base it off of that, and then whatever life gives me, that's what the story gonna tell.
I feel it. So describe your music to someone that hasn't heard it before.
I would say it's kind of like very melodic. I say there's a lot of musical elements that I like to have in my music. With my music background, I do like to pay attention to everything that's going on, not just, what the snares are, the hi-hats, or the 808s. I kind of like to entangle everything together, give me more of a natural sound, and then just go from there. Everything I write, I want to make sure it's the truth. I'm not going to spit no cap. You're not going to hear no cap coming out of me. So I want to make sure that, you getting the real, authentic me when it comes to my music.
Got you. So tell us a little bit about that process of making music.
It's not necessarily like too hard of a thing. Like, I might start by just like going on YouTube, looking up some beats, or I might just be listening to something that inspired me to write something. Like Nighttime, it's out on streaming everywhere. Nighttime, featuring my boy Indigo Vaughn. If you don't know Vaughn, go check out Vaughn. Indigo Vaughn everywhere. So like with that song, I kind of had the vision initially when I like went into it with the mindset of saying, I want this song to be a little more beat, kind of off of the pace that I've been going with my first 2 songs, because those songs were a little more like sad boy, and we was not trying to get too much sad boy. So I wanted to be able to talk to a broader audience. I knew I wanted to be able to bring somebody in that would be able to assist me, which is why I brought my boy Vaughn in, and he did what he needed to do. I felt like I did what I needed to do. And then those songs, like when I went into like the writing process, I knew I wanted to capture the audience's attention. So I was like, how can I do that? Well, let me introduce myself. The easiest way to get people to figure out, like, oh, who is this person that I'm listening to for the first time, since I don't got that much music out. And I wanted to be able to have somebody like be drawn in. I felt like I accomplished that with the words that I said. And then by putting not necessarily a repetitive chorus, but by having a chorus that like, people can relate to, it's a very common knowledge behind it, a common sentiment. Just keep on pushing that type of image and working that way.
Got you. So based on your experience of, being a new, fresh artist, what is some advice that you can give a new artist that's trying to be heard that may be wanting to drop their first album?
Don't be scared to drop music. Like, literally, that's probably the scariest thing. You'll have the song, you'll get it done, and then after you're listening to it, your next thought is like, do I really want other people to hear this? Yes. You want other people to hear it, even if you don't think it's the best, only because you're not going to be able to get better if you don't never take any criticism. So make sure you always look at criticism on the good side. If somebody say they don't like your music, ask them why they don't like your music. Figure out what you can do to improve that. And then also keep in mind, like, you got to study other people. I don't just listen to my own music and figure out how I'm going to outright myself. I'm trying to outright other people that are around me, other people I listen to on the day-to-day. Like, eventually I want to be able to get up to the point where people compare me to other writers that are well-known, like J. Cole, Kendrick, Drake, things like that. And be able to put myself on, a high enough pedestal to be able to say, wow, like, he really takes his time writing his lyrics, and his lyrics have a lot of emotion behind them and bring a lot of emotion out of me when I hear him speak about what he's speaking about.
Okay. How do you handle criticism based on that you are a new artist? Like, how would you deal with the criticism, and how do you let that affect you, and how do you process that?
I try to take it, with a grain of salt, as best as I can, because it could definitely be discouraging at sometimes, especially when you feel like you put in a lot of effort into your work. You didn't spend, maybe a week or a couple of days, whatever, writing a song. You didn't take time out of your day to write this. These are your actual thoughts and emotions that you processed, laid out, and then for somebody to be able to critique them and say what they want to say about them will make you feel some type of way every now and again. But you got to remember, in order for you to be able to get better, you got to be able to listen to them and take what they're saying and figure out what you can do to process that information. Because sometimes people will tell you something and it be completely garbage. And you just be like, okay, well, I might as well block that out. And then you also have to think about the parts of the same statement that they'll tell you that you have to take into consideration and be like, oh, I didn't like the beat. Okay, well, if you don't tell me what you like about the beat, I'm not going to pay no attention to that. But if you point out something specific, be like, oh, I didn't like, the cadence that you used, or maybe you should have thought about your words a little bit better here. Things like that lets me know that it's like, okay, so there are other parts that were fine. I just need to fine-tune a couple of things, and that'll allow you to keep progressing. So don't be scared to drop. Don't be scared to mess up. Just continue, putting everything out.
So what are some of the biggest lessons that you faced in the music industry so far?
I think some of the bigger things to note is, like, the only person who's going to consistently promote you is yourself. So never let the fact that other people aren't, like, pushing your music or are going as hard for your music as you are discourage you. Because at the end of the day, you're your number one player. You're your MVP. You're your all-star. So you got to be able to put in those hours and be like, even though, like, you might got a couple of views, you got to keep on reposting, keep on showing people, keep on introducing. Don't be scared to tell somebody about your music. Because at the end of the day, somebody that listens, regardless if you like it or not, they're still a listener. So as long as I see that number that keep on going up, I just want to be relevant, because eventually somebody gonna rock with me. Somebody gonna hear me and be like, wow, this guy really talking. I like what he's talking about. It's relatable, and I don't feel like he's saying anything that would be a lie. That's all you gotta keep doing. Be you, push yourself, and remember, like, you your own team. There will be other people that are formulated around you when you get to that point that you need those people around you. But until then, the only person who can support you is yourself.
And I feel like that's where a lot of the issues come at, is because a lot of people are trying to, I guess, gain the attention of an audience that's not the audience that's going to like their music.
Yeah, you got to make sure you have a target audience where you're making your music. Because making music with no direction, you're not going to get anywhere. The same way other people aren't going to be able to recognize what's going on, you won't be able to recognize what's going on. So you want to make sure you have a thought process going into your work of, like, what you're trying to do.
No cap. So how do you want, or what is the message that you want to get across when people do listen to your music?
Kind of just to let you know there are regular people in the world dealing with the same things that you're dealing with. Like, we've all dealt with the breakup before. We've all been through hard times. We've all been through good times. But it's just a matter of, like, you don't have to portray a certain person in order to put out music. Like, you don't have to rap about the same thing everybody else rap about, or talk about the same thing everybody else talk about. You can talk about whatever's going on in your own bubble. And there'll be somebody out there who'll be like, wow, I didn't know anybody would talk about this, because everybody talks about the same thing. You just got to be yourself and eventually there'll be other people that would be like, I'm more similar to you than I thought I would be. And all it took was me listening to your music to be able to figure that out.
Facts, man. So, where can the audience find you?
You guys can find me everywhere. We on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon, Tidal. Anywhere you listen to your music, that's where we at. It's 804hoodiezay. 804hoodiezay on all platforms. 804hoodiezay on IG. It's new_KYD on Twitter. Y'all can't get the Snap. The Snap is for the private folk. But just know, we active on the Snap. So if we find the Snap, then that means we locked in.
Anything else you want to say to the audience?
You guys just keep being you. Remember, it's 2 up, 2 down. We from the 804 and never quit. That's the motto.
That's a wrap.